Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the streaking on a heater, 3 straight win Detroit Lions. They're actually number 2 in the NFC North right now. Big time game 2 days away at the time of this recording. Thanksgiving against the Buffalo Bills. That's going to tell us a lot about Detroit. Now, if they win that football game, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But regardless, we're going to focus on the present here. Essentially, a couple of weeks ago, or actually like a month ago, the Detroit Lions lost a very close game to the Miami Dolphins, 31-27, and they had a players-only meeting and, kind of called out the defense for just not really doing their role. I don't know how to say that in a non-desperate way, but essentially the defense was a little bit called out, right? Because offensively speaking, Detroit is a top 5 offense. They are putting up over 25 points a game, and they're just putting points on the board. There's literally 2 bad losses from the Detroit Lions so far this season. 2 offensively bad games. 2. That's it. And when you look at every team across the league, whether they're first placed or last place, you're going to have, look at the top 5 teams in the league. Like, they're going to have at least 2 brutally bad, disgusting games over the course of an entire season. Since that game, the Detroit Lions, in 2 out of their 3 games, have given up less than 19 points. 19 points. And one of them was against my Green Bay Packers, right? Another one was against, this past week, the 7-2 at the time New York Giants. I understand not everybody believes in the New York Giants, myself included, but still, at the end of the day, you're on the road, and the Giants were 7-2. So, take it what you will. So my point is this: Detroit started the season off 1-6, and they've rattled off 3 straight wins against teams that are, it's the NFL. There's no such thing as an easy win any given Sunday, right? Before we get any further into this video, guys, if you enjoy, hit that like button, hit that sub button. I am going to be covering the Detroit Lions for the duration of the season. Although I am a cheesehead, guys, that game against Detroit, Packers-Lions 3 weeks ago, that was the game where you really kind of, unbiasedly as a Packers fan, that was really where it was like, yeah, all right, it's time. You knew the Lions were going to figure it out, and you knew it was going to be soon, and it was like, all right, times are changing. Times are changing right now, and it mainly has to do with, the Packers, but this is in a Packers video. Jameson Williams comes back this week. I have his stats here from last year at, Alabama. Jameson was a first-round pick coming off of the IR, 79 receptions. Oh, by the way, first team All-SEC. 1,572 yards. I cannot talk right now. And 15 touchdowns. First team SEC. So, when I take a look at the Lions and I think about them, I'm like, all right, well, all they really need is a more sound, more consistent, I think is the better word, defense, right? Which we've been seeing in the last 3 weeks, led by, future superstar and kind of already a star in Aiden Hutchinson, and more weapons. And when they first traded away TJ Hockenson, I looked at the trade and I was very confused, and just watching the game against the Cowboys this past weekend, I was like, oh, okay. So there you have it. Detroit literally has a phenomenal offensive line. You have a 28-year-old Jared Goff, who I think people kind of forget, myself included. He was the first pick of the 2016 draft, and that was only 6 years ago. So he's perfectly in his prime. He's led a team to the Super Bowl before. The reason I say that, I was reading an article earlier today, and they were saying, you have the Rams pick, which is awesome, by the way, but the article is saying, like, the Lions are winning too many games. They're going to miss out on an elite level quarterback. And I'm thinking to myself, what? If you were to even get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whoever it was going to be, I would actually argue, and a lot of you guys backed this up in my first Lions video a couple of days ago, was saying, like, I think if anything that would set the team back like at least a couple of years. They're ready to go right now. Like I said, all they need are weapons, which Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the best receivers, one of the best up-and-coming receivers in the NFL. Jameson Williams is ready to make his debut. Like, he is a stud, future star in the league as well. You have Jamal Williams, who leads the league in rushing touchdowns at 12. He leads the league at rushing touchdowns at 12. DeAndre Swift has not been healthy really this season. Well, if he could just stay healthy, he's averaging 6.1 yards per attempt. You heard that correctly, 6.1 yards per attempt. And Jared Goff is perfectly capable. He makes the right throws. They haven't necessarily, it's been, a good chunk of small to medium size throws because there just haven't been too many weapons on this team thus far at wide receiver. So I don't know why I would go draft a quarterback, a rookie quarterback, who isn't going to be ready to win consistently for at least a season, because Jared Goff, to me, is doing more than enough. I mean, so far this season, 64% completion rate, 2,444 yards. He's doing his job. 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for a rating of about 92.8. To me, that's more than capable. That is more than capable. So it's just so cool to see this happen. And I also have another defensive statistic that I forgot to sprinkle in there. Since that defensive meeting, or since that players meeting, the defense has had, in the last 3 games, 7 forced turnovers. So they're forcing turnovers. Shout out Kirby Joseph, U of I guy. See this flag here? I actually used to, shout out to everybody, all Lions fans. You guys are so awesome, man. You blessed my first video. Absolutely. And like I said in that video, I used to live in Northville, so I remember, growing up at times just outside of Detroit. I was in Detroit a couple of summers ago. It's awesome. I play a little golf there at TPC Michigan. Shout out if anyone's played that course. It's awesome. But Detroit is a really sweet city, and I feel so happy for their fans because my whole entire side of my dad's family is from Detroit. We'd have family reunions growing up in Detroit. So it's just really cool to see because it's like, I don't know, it's just like a nostalgic type of vibe. I have, I have an old bobblehead. I have a Roy Williams jersey. I have a really old bobblehead. I can't remember who the quarterback was, but it was cool. I loved it growing up because he had like grass stains on him. So it's just cool to see this defense beginning to click. This very young, very hungry defense. They're starting to click. Brad Holmes in general has done a phenomenal job. I am curious about this. In the 2 lines videos I've made in the last couple of days, it seems, I wouldn't say split is the right word on Dan Campbell, but some people aren't necessarily sold on Dan. So I'm curious to hear, go ahead, drop a comment down below. What are your thoughts on the Lions head coach? Let me know down below. But yeah, man, this game on Thursday is going to be really interesting, and it's going to be really exciting because I know Buffalo, Josh Allen, MVP type of player. I know how good Buffalo is, but they've had their issues. In the most recent weeks, they've had their issues. They're a beatable team. So Detroit is red hot right now already. I mean, they're 4-6, man. I won't talk about the playoffs in today's video, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but it's kind of hard, man. It's really exciting. So hit that like button, hit that sub button. If you guys want more Lions content, go ahead, drop some thoughts down below on this game for Thursday. And I'll probably post another video tomorrow, but definitely stay tuned for a recap video on Thanksgiving. Peace.